The night I came home didn't start on a porch. It started at a buzzer. I hadn't seen Terrence Washington in 23 years, but I could still hear his 12-year-old voice saying, "Brothers forever, right?" as we carved our initials into the old oak tree behind his mama's house in Macon, Georgia. Now I was standing outside his apartment building in Asheville, North Carolina, holding a cardboard box that contained what was left of my old life, and wondering if showing up unannounced after 2 decades was the worst idea I'd ever had. A raw November wind, smelling of pine and damp earth, sliced through my thin jacket, and I could see my breath forming clouds in the mountain air. My rental car was packed with everything I owned, which wasn't much after the divorce, after losing my job, after Dad's funeral, after everything fell apart. But Terrence, from what I'd gathered through careful social media searching and a few discreet phone calls to mutual acquaintances, Terrence had been fighting his own battles. His wife Shanice had passed away from cancer 18 months ago. His construction business had folded during her illness. He was raising his teenage daughter Keisha alone now, trying to rebuild a life from the ashes of the one he'd planned. The thing about childhood friends is that they know who you were before the world taught you to be someone else. Terrence knew Malcolm Frost before I became a corporate lawyer who worked 80-hour weeks. Before I forgot how to laugh without checking my phone. Before I became someone who could let 23 years pass without calling his best friend. I shifted the box to my hip and pressed the buzzer for apartment 3B. "Yeah?" His voice through the intercom was rougher than I remembered, worn down by life and loss. "Terrence, it's Malcolm Frost." The silence stretched so long I thought the intercom had broken. Then I heard a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been something else entirely. "Man, you better not be playing with me. It's really me, T. I'm standing outside your building like an idiot, freezing my tail off. Can I come up?" Another pause. Then the buzzer sounded, and I pushed through the door into a hallway that smelled like someone had been cooking collard greens. Some things never change. Heat hissed from an old radiator. A gospel station played low behind a wall. I climbed the 3 flights slowly, my heart hammering harder than it should have from just stairs. What if this was a mistake? What if we had nothing to say to each other? What if the connection we'd had as kids was just nostalgia and the men we'd become were strangers? But then the door to 3B opened, and there was Terrence. Older, yes, gray threading through his hair, lines carved deep around his eyes. But that smile, that was the same smile from when we were 12 and thought we could conquer the world with just our bikes and a basketball. He was looking at me the same way, probably seeing the hollowness in my own eyes, the expensive haircut that couldn't hide the exhaustion. I caught myself checking my phone out of habit, then slid it back in my pocket. "Malcolm Frost," he said, shaking his head. "Man, get in here before you let all the heat out." His apartment was small but neat, with photos covering every surface. Shanice smiled from a dozen frames, beautiful and vibrant even in still life. There was Keisha at various ages, gap-toothed grins evolving into teenage confidence. And there, on a shelf by the window, was a photo I hadn't seen in decades. Terrence and me, age 12, arms slung around each other's shoulders, standing in front of that old oak tree. "You kept it," I said, my voice catching. "Of course I kept it. You don't throw away family just because they forget to call for a couple decades." He said it like a joke, but I heard the hurt underneath. "T, I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry. I don't even have an excuse. Life got away from me, and then it felt like too much time had passed, and then Shanice died," he finished quietly. "I know you sent flowers, anonymous, but I know your handwriting, even after all these years." I set the box down, suddenly feeling every one of my 45 years. I wanted to come to the funeral. I didn't know if I'd be welcome, if I had the right after being gone so long. Terrence walked to his small kitchen and pulled out 2 beers. "You know what Shanice said near the end? She said I should call you. Said she'd met you once at our wedding, and you seemed like someone who kept promises, even if it took a while. I told her she was crazy, that we hadn't talked in years. She said, 'That boy's just lost. He'll find his way home.'" He handed me a beer, and we clinked bottles like we used to toast with sodas all those years ago. The caps clinked like 2 coins dropped back into a jar we thought was empty. "How did she know?" I asked. Man, Shanice knew everything. Used to drive me crazy. A lemon candle burned on the counter. T said she loved that smell. It felt like she'd just stepped out of the room. His smile was sad but real. So what's in the box? I laughed, surprising myself. Would you believe it's every letter you wrote me from the time we were 12 until I left for college? Every baseball card we traded, that terrible rap album we recorded on your boombox, and this. Some frames hold paper, this one held years. I pulled out a wooden frame, the glass cracked but still intact. Inside was a napkin from Rosie's BBQ, stained and faded, with 2 barely legible signatures and the words, "The Porch Swing Promise," written across the top. Terrence took it with shaking hands. No way you kept this. We were 13, I said. Sitting on your mama's porch swing, eating the best ribs in Georgia. You just found out your dad wasn't coming back, and I'd just gotten glasses and thought my life was over. We promised that when we grew up, we'd buy houses next door to each other. Our kids would grow up together. We'd have barbecues every Sunday and never let life make us strangers. The porch swing promise, Terrence whispered. Man, we were dreamers, weren't we? Maybe, or maybe we were just kids who knew what mattered before the world convinced us otherwise. Terrence set the frame carefully on his coffee table and really looked at me for the first time. So what happened, Malcolm? Why are you here? And don't tell me you just missed my pretty face. So I told him. About the 60-hour weeks that became 80. About coming home to find my wife with another man, in our bed, in the house I'd killed myself to pay for. About the divorce that took everything except the box of memories I'd hidden in the garage. About getting laid off 2 weeks after the papers were signed because the firm was restructuring. About my dad dying alone in a nursing home while I was in a meeting I can't even remember now. I lost everything, T. Everything I thought mattered, and when I was sitting in that empty apartment trying to figure out what came next, all I could think about was that porch swing. About the last time life made sense. About the best friend I threw away, chasing things that threw me away. Terrence was quiet for a long moment. Then he got up and grabbed 2 more beers. You want to know something funny? After Shanice died, after the business went under, after everything fell apart, I used to dream about that porch swing, about being 13 again when the biggest problem was your dad leaving, or you getting glasses, when we could solve everything with a bike ride and some Rosie's BBQ. I'm sorry about Shanice, I said. She was extraordinary. She was my everything, he said simply. 18 months and I still reach for her in the morning, still make coffee for 2. Keisha tries to take care of me, but she's 15. She shouldn't have to be the strong one. We sat in silence, 2 middle-aged men carrying more weight than anyone should have to bear alone. So what now? Terrence asked finally. I don't know, I admitted. I've got some savings, no plan, no place to be. I needed to see you, to apologize, to see if maybe what? If maybe it's not too late, for the porch swing promise, for doing life right this time. Terrence laughed, a real laugh that reached his eyes. You know, Asheville's got some of the best barbecue in the South now, different from Rosie's, but still damn good. Yeah? Yeah, and there's a duplex for rent 2 blocks from here. Owner's a friend. Been sitting empty because he's picky about tenants, but 2 Georgia boys who've known each other since before they had good sense. That might work. You're serious? Malcolm, I've spent the last 18 months learning that life's too short for anything but serious. You need a new start. I need my brother back. Keisha needs to see that sometimes people keep promises, even old ones, especially old ones. Right then, the front door burst open and a teenage girl whirled in, all energy and attitude. She stopped short when she saw me. Dad, who's this? Keisha, meet your Uncle Malcolm. He's the one from all those old stories. The one who helped me build that treehouse that fell down. The one who convinced me to ask your mama to dance at the 8th grade formal. Keisha's eyes widened. The one who moved away and never called? I winced, but Terrence just smiled. The one who came back. People do that sometimes, baby. They get lost, but they find their way home. Keisha studied me with eyes that were all Shanice, wise beyond their years, seeing straight through to the truth of things. You hurt my dad, she said bluntly. I did, I admitted. And I'm sorry. I can't take back the years I missed, but I'm here now. If you'll have me. She looked at her father, who nodded slightly. Then she shrugged, teenager cool. Well, if you're staying, you better know how to cook. Dad burns water. Hey now, Terrence protested. I've gotten better. You made spaghetti in the microwave last week, Keisha shot back. That was an experiment. I found myself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. I can cook. Learned out of self-defense when I was living alone. Can you make mac and cheese? Like real mac and cheese, not the box kind? With 5 cheeses and a breadcrumb crust? Keisha's eyes lit up. Her teenage armor cracked just for a second, revealing the kid underneath who just wanted some comfort food. Okay, you can stay. When the crust cracked under her spoon, she grinned like a secret had been told right. And just like that, I was home. The next few weeks passed in a blur of boxes and paperwork and relearning how to be part of something bigger than myself. The duplex Terrence had mentioned turned out to be perfect, a Victorian split down the middle with a shared porch that ran the full length of the house. The owner, Mr. Garrett, was indeed picky, but when he heard our story, saw the photo of 2 12-year-old boys who'd sworn to be neighbors forever, he handed over the keys on the spot. Been waiting 40 years for tenants with a good story, he said. Y'all better live up to it. I took the left side, Terrence and Keisha the right. The first night, we sat on that shared porch bundled in blankets against the mountain cold, and it felt like destiny. Like maybe all the pain and loss had been leading us here, to this moment, to this second chance. I found work at a legal aid clinic, making a fraction of what I'd earned before, but sleeping better than I had in years. Terrence started picking up construction jobs again, small projects at first, then bigger ones as word spread that he was back in business. But the real magic happened in the in-between moments. Wednesday nights turned into porch homework. Keisha typed essays at my table while T measured trim in the hall and told stories from old jobs. I learned our neighbors' names the way you learn a hymn, one verse at a time. On cold mornings, our mugs steamed like small prayers. Keisha started doing homework at my kitchen table because I had a printer and better snacks. She'd tell me about school, about missing her mom, about boys she liked and dreams she had. I helped her with college applications, taught her to drive in my rental car, held her when she cried on the anniversary of Shanice's death. Terrence and I fell back into friendship like we'd never left. Morning coffee on the porch became our ritual. We'd sit and plan our days, or just exist in comfortable silence. Evenings found us grilling whatever was on sale, arguing about sports, solving the world's problems the way we had at 13. Sundays, though. Sundays were sacred. True to the porch swing promise, we'd barbecue. Nothing fancy at first, just burgers and hot dogs. But word spread the way word does in a neighborhood, and soon we had a regular crowd. Mrs. Chen from next door bringing her famous potato salad. The Jackson family from down the street with their 3 kids who reminded me of us at that age. College students from the apartment complex, grateful for a home-cooked meal. Our porch became a gathering place, a spot where stories were shared and connections made, where loneliness came to die and community was born one Sunday at a time. One evening in February, I found Terrence on the porch despite the cold, holding that old photo of us as kids. "You okay?" I asked, settling beside him. You know what I realized? We did it. The porch swing promise. Maybe not the way we planned, but we did it. Only took us 30 years and a whole lot of heartache to get here. Maybe that's what it took, he said thoughtfully. Maybe we had to lose everything to remember what mattered. Maybe Shanice was right, and you were just finding your way home. Maybe I was too. You think she knew? That it would work out like this? Terrence smiled. Man, I told you, Shanice knew everything. She probably orchestrated this whole thing from heaven, pulling strings to get your stubborn self back here. We laughed, but I could feel the truth in it. How else to explain the timing, the way everything had fallen apart just to fall together, the way this felt more like home than anywhere I'd lived in 20 years? Spring came to Asheville in a rush of dogwood blossoms and mountain laurel. The porch gatherings grew larger. Keisha got accepted to UNC Chapel Hill with a partial scholarship. Terrence landed a contract to renovate the old Mitchell building downtown. I won my first case at the clinic, kept Ms. Rivera and her 2 boys in their apartment, and slept like someone had finally turned the noise off. Life was good. Not perfect, but good in the way that real things are good. A little messy, a little complicated, but full of possibility. It was a Tuesday in April when everything came full circle. I was coming home from work when I saw them. Two boys, maybe 12 or 13, sitting on our porch steps looking dejected. "You boys okay?" I asked. The taller one, a black kid with Terrence's same serious eyes, looked up. "We're fine. Just, our dads won't let us go to the skate park anymore. Say it's too dangerous." "But it's not," the smaller boy, pale with a shock of red hair, protested. "We're careful. We wear helmets and everything." "They just don't get it," the first boy continued. "They think we're still babies." I sat down on the steps between them, remembering being that age, that frustrated, that certain adults would never understand. "You know," I said, "when I was your age, my best friend and I wanted to build a treehouse. Our parents said no, too dangerous. So you know what we did?" "What?" they asked in unison. "We made a promise, a porch swing promise actually, that when we grew up we'd do all the things we dreamed about. We'd stick together and make it happen." "Did you?" the redhead asked skeptically. Right then, Terrence's truck pulled up. He got out, saw me with the boys, and his face broke into a knowing grin. "Hey, Uncle T," the black boy called out. "This guy says you made some kind of promise when you were kids." Terrence walked over, ruffling his nephew's hair. "Deshaun, meet my best friend Malcolm, the one I told you about, and this troublemaker must be Connor from next door." "You're the lawyer who came back," Connor exclaimed. "My mom talks about you guys all the time, says you're proof that good things happen when you don't give up on people." "Your mom's smart," I said. "And you know what? She's right. T, what do you think about building that treehouse we never got to make? These boys could help, teach them some construction skills, keep them busy after school." Terrence's eyes lit up. "Now that's an idea. Safe, supervised, but still an adventure. What do you say, boys? Want to learn how to build something that'll last?" The boys exchanged excited looks, then nodded eagerly. "But it's got to be a real commitment," Terrence continued. "Every day after school, weekends too. Hard work. You up for it?" "Yes!" they shouted together. As the boys ran off to tell their parents, Terrence and I stood there, two middle-aged men who'd found their way back to what mattered. "Look at us," he said, "passing it on to the next generation. Promises are lighter when four hands carry them." "The porch swing promise 2.0, I agreed. That night, we had an impromptu barbecue to celebrate. The porch filled with neighbors sharing food and stories. Keisha taught Deshaun and Connor a complicated handshake. Mrs. Chen brought 3 kinds of dumplings. The Jacksons brought a cooler full of drinks. Someone started music playing, and before long, people were dancing in the yard. I stood at the grill, flipping burgers and watching the life we'd built. String lights hummed, smoke and stories rose at the same speed. Terrence appeared at my elbow, beer in hand. "You know what this is?" he asked. "What?" "It's what we dreamed about at 13. Maybe not exactly how we pictured it, but it's here. Family, friends, community, Sunday barbecues and kids underfoot, a place where people belong." I looked around at the faces illuminated by string lights and laughter, at Keisha teaching the little Jackson girl to dance, at Mrs. Chen forcing another plate of food on the college students, at Deshaun and Connor already planning their treehouse design on a napkin. "We did it, T. We really did it." "Nah," he said, clinking his beer against mine. "We're doing it, present tense, every day." Later that night, after everyone had gone home and the dishes were done, I found myself back on the porch. The swing we'd installed creaked gently in the night breeze. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a photo Keisha had taken earlier. Terrence and me at the grill, laughing about something, looking nothing like the broken men who'd reunited 6 months ago. I thought about all the years I'd wasted chasing success, defining myself by billable hours and bank accounts. About the marriage that had been more merger than romance. About the father I'd been too busy to really know. All those years lost. But then I thought about second chances. About the grace of friendship that survives decades of silence. About the family you choose and the community you build. About 2 boys who'd made a promise on a porch swing and somehow, against all odds, kept it. My phone buzzed, a text from Terrence, even though he was just on the other side of the wall. "Thanks for coming home, brother." I typed back, "Thanks for leaving the light on," because that's what real friends do. They leave the light on, no matter how long you've been gone. They save your place at the table. They remember who you were and believe in who you can become. They teach you that it's never too late to keep a promise, especially one made on a porch swing when you were 13 and still believed in forever. The porch light flickered on next door, and I heard Terrence's door open. He came out with 2 beers and a blanket, settling into the swing beside me. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. "Just thinking." Dangerous habit at our age. We sat in comfortable silence, the swing creaking rhythmically. Somewhere in the distance, a train whistle echoed through the mountains. The stars were bright in the clear mountain air, and for a moment, we could have been 13 again, planning our futures and swearing to stay friends forever. "Hey, Malcolm?" "Yeah?" "Brothers forever, right?"
I smiled, remembering those same words carved into an oak tree a lifetime ago. "Brothers forever, T, no matter what."
The swing creaked once, like it remembered, and this time, we both knew we meant it. There was no oak tree to carve, no napkin to sign. There was just the quiet certainty of a promise finally, fully kept.